everybody, Brenda here with My Pastor's Designs, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to make a card, actually 2 cards, in about the same time as it would take you to make 1 card. And this is a great way to get 2 different looks with designer series paper and 2 cards for, like I said, for the price of 1. While one's drying, you're working on the other one, and this is just a fun card design to make. So we're going to start with the card. You are going to need a piece, actually 2 pieces, of Whisper White thick cardstock, 8.5 by 5.5, and scored at 4 1/4. You will need 2 of those. Then you will need 2 of our Garden Green pieces of cardstock cut at 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. Then you will need 2 pieces of the Mosaic Mood Specialty Designer Series paper. This is cut at 1 inch by 5 1/4 inches. And then you will need 2 pieces of that. You will also need 2 pieces of the same print, and you will need about a 2.5 inch piece by maybe 2 3/4. Anyway, so you can get that dress on there. And then you will also need some more of that exact same paper, only a little bit smaller piece, because you're going to cut the hat out of that. So let's go ahead and start with all of our stamping so everything can be drying. So we are going to bring in this stamp. This is our girl that's standing in the puddle or dancing in the puddle or whatever it is she's doing in the puddle. And we want our tuxedo black. I like the tuxedo black Memento. You can also use Stays On. This is just my preference. We're going to get our 2 pieces of white that I forgot to tell you about, and these are, let me just get a quick measurement. These are 3 inches by 3 inches. So we're going to stamp this girl twice on these pieces of paper. Remember, we're making 2 cards. 2 cards for the price of 1 sitting. She's going to be in here tight. We are going to go around her with our stitch-shaped square die. Let the ink pull that off the paper. Or no, let's let the paper pull the ink off. How about we get our words in the right order? Again, I'm going to ink up another. Ink my stamp up, and apparently ink my fingers and everything else. Give that a nice stamp. Scooch that over to dry, and then I want to stamp again onto this designer series paper. I'm going to turn one over and decide which one I like best. I think I want the one with the most yellow for my second dress. This one's a little tricky. You need to angle this just a little bit to line it up, but it will all fit, I promise. It just takes just a second longer probably. Make sure it all fits on your paper. Give it a good press. Remember, the shiny side takes just a little longer to dry. I'm going to let her come over here and sit for a minute, and then ink this up again and do the same thing on the opposite side of the designer series paper. Pull that aside, and then I want to bring in my designer series paper again, and I want to stamp 1 hat on one side and 1 hat on the other. And I'm hoping I can fit that little bee in my hat, because I just think that's kind of cute. She can have a bee in her bonnet, right? My granddaughter would have appreciated that humor greatly. It's going to come over here and dry. Do the same thing. I did want to try to get that bee in there, so we'll see how I do. I don't know. Hey, pretty good. Then I want to come and get my 2 pieces of cardstock, and I want to stamp the inside of it as well with my girl. Again, she is not going to be colored. I just want the inside of my card to feel finished. I think I'm going to just come over. I think I'm going to go on this side. And I'm going to do that on both of the insides of my cards. That way they are ready as well. And also while you're at it, pull out 2 white envelopes because you will want to stamp on those as well. It just looks so much more elegant and finished if you will finish your envelopes to go with your cards. I try to, you can decorate your envelopes however you want. Sometimes that will cost you more postage if you really get elaborate and make it hard for your local post office. Some of them are really cool and some of them are not cool at all. Okay, we're going to set that aside. We're going to be using the Life May Not Be the Party We Had Hoped For, but while we are here, we might as well dance. I love that saying because it's true. Life is not always easy, but life is what we make it. And I think if we can make it good, we made it well. I've already mounted my stamp on my block. I try to line it up with my grid paper and line my block up on my grid paper so everything is lined up. Because it may not, when you eyeball it, it won't be as lined up as you had hoped it will be. And then I line my paper up as well on my grid paper so I have a pretty good line. And then I come in, pardon my head, and give it a press. I'm going to do that on both of my card fronts. So there's one. And now, don't forget to re-ink. All right, so those are both inked up and ready to go. And you can color this in on your girl. Today, I've decided instead of coloring it in, I would like to play a little bit more with another stamp. So I'm bringing this in, I'm going to pull this stamp out, and it looks like water. So we will use it. You could color it in with some Stampin' Blends, but I'm going to use the Balmy Blue ink. And I am going to go ahead and stamp these girls just at the bottom here. And it's going to, well, let me throw that across the room. It's going to look more like water, like a watercolor instead of you coloring it in. That is perfectly fine. It just gives that kind of just a fun, different look. So I've got those both stamped. There we are. So now I do want to color the girls in. And I actually, because we all have different colors of flesh and we are all different, I want to play with this just a little bit and make this a little more unique. So I'm going to bring in my ivory because I'm a pale-skinned girl, so we got to have one pale-skinned girl. The only time I'm not pale is when I've sunburned myself quite badly. I have 2 colors, pale or sunburn. So, give her, just color her. Apparently I had black on my finger, so I got it up there on the card. So, because it is two-sided, love two-sided paper, I can always stamp the other side. But because that was just a little accident, I'm going to see if I can just fix the accident while I'm on here, and it'll be all right, and clean my hand. So I'm going to set that aside, and then because I said we're all a little bit different, I'm going to come back in with some bronze. I colored them both ivory to get a nice base, but then I'm going to come back in just some bronze. A little bit different skin tone. And also, you know, and you can play with this because we don't all have even the same color on ourselves. I'm going to come in and just shadow with a little bit of the dark petal pink. And let's say I used the bronze. I'm going to come in with the dark soft suede and just kind of come in under again where there might be some shadow, just to give it some interest. All right, still trying to decide what I'm going to do with that accident, but that's all right. While I'm thinking, we're going to go ahead and trim our dresses. Using your scissors, you're just going to fussy cut. It does not take long at all. And I'm going to go ahead. I move my paper more than I move my scissors because I find I have a lot more control when I do that, and way less like cutting, you know, edges that just don't look very attractive. Come in and cut that. And I'm going to leave the hair because we can color the hair on the designer series paper easier, and it looks just a little better than cutting it off and trying to fill it in. It just kind of looks kind of funny, and besides that, our hair falls over our clothing generally anyway. I'm going to cut the second one as well. All right, got my dresses cut. Now I'm going to cut my hats out really quickly. Again, just a quick fussy cut. Now, if you did not want to take the time to do this, you could just stamp it on and color them if you want. I just really wanted to use this mosaic paper in a different way, and this just seemed like such a fun option, and I think it really has turned out to be a lot of fun. All right, so my hats and my dresses are cut out. I'm going to actually put the yellow hat with the green dress, the green hat with the yellow dress. Those are both cut out and ready to be put on. I will be right back. I'm going to go cut these out with my largest stitch shaped die, and I shall be right back. Okay, we've got these cut. Now we're going to assemble our cards. Guess what? I'm going to redo these because I stamped this wrong, and that's going to look really weird if she's upside down. So bear with me for a moment. Okay, we're going to try this again. We're going to do what we call the correct way this time. I'll just save those ones that I made an error on for another card. So we're going to come back in here, and now we have it laying the proper way, and just stamp her on the inside like so. And we'll do that on both cards. All right, so now we can assemble our cards. So I want to just take my green here, and I'm going to use some snail and adhere these to the front of my cards. I always try to make sure it's lined up on the 3 edges. If it is, I know it'll be lined up on the 4th edge as well. I do that to both my card fronts. You see how fast this really does go together. Like I said, you might as well make 2 cards as opposed to 1. Then you have 2 for different things, and they're not going to be identical because we've just switched up the designer series paper just a little bit, so they're each uniquely their own. All right, there we go. So I give that a nice fold. Again, using my bone folder, giving it a really nice crease down because I like my cards to not pop open. And the heavier cardstock, they could do that, but not if you give it a nice crease. Okay, so now they're ready. Now we're going to take our piece, the 2 pieces we had that are the 1 inch by 5 1/4, and we are going to put snail on it. But we're going to do it on the opposite side. So choose the one that you like the most. I'm going to keep the yellows and stuff side up on that one, and then I want this one to be the green side up. So just run my snail that I think is almost empty. Maybe it's me. Maybe I threw myself off doing that really what I just did a minute ago. I'm going to mount this about right here, so you see that it's kind of right there. And then this one I'm going to just put snail on the opposite side. So we have our card bases ready now. Now let's go ahead and dress our girls. So we have our dresses and our hats. I'm going to put the yellow, I think I'm going to go yellow here. No, I'm going to go yellow here, green here, green hat, and the yellow hat. All right, so I'm going to put just a little bit of snail on the dress. And line that up on her, and then again on the hat. I'm going to have the green dress with the yellow hat. All right, it's going to go with the yellow strip. Then we're going to have the yellow dress, green hat. And you can mix them or match them however you want. Just, you know, have fun with it. And this is a great way to use little tiny pieces of maybe leftover designer series paper that you're not sure what you want to do because you've used it for another project. These little tiny pieces are great. So, you know, even save like little 1-inch pieces because that's a little bitty hat. And then I'm just going to come back in with some markers. I'm going to do her hair black because this black is more permanent and it's going to just, I think, look a little bit better because this is the shiny one. And then I'm going to do the bronze on her. Then we're going to use Stampin' Dimensionals just to mount these on our card fronts. I usually use 5, one of a square on each corner, one on each corner and one in the center, just because I think it sits better. I don't like it when they bend in the center of my card. I like it to, if I want it to pop up, I'm going to have it pop up. So I'm always going to be a little more generous with my dimensionals. As I said, the yellow dress is going to go on the green with the green hat, just for a little bit of, and I still have to decide what I'm going to do with that one that I got some stuff on, and I'm just trying to think really quick. I'm sure there's an embellishment that I could use. All right, and there we have it. So there's this one, and I just love it. We just flipped our paper, and so now we just have 2 cards really in as much, just about the exact same time it would have taken us to do 1 card. And I'm going to just pull out a couple of sequins. I could restamp all of this, but I really don't want to. And we all make a few mistakes, and so it's kind of fun to see maybe what we could do to fix an error if you are so inclined. So I'm going to put those 3 up there, and because I did that, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing down here and just create a fun little border using some sequins. And there you have it. I didn't have to restamp it. It is fixed, and here's my 3 samples. I don't know if you can see them all. This was my starting one. These are the 2 that I came up with where we could do 2 for 1. I hope you had a good time and learned how to fix a mistake, and also how to use your double-sided designer series paper in a way that you could create 2 cards as quickly as you could create 1. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Brenda with My Pastor's Wife Designs. I hope you will keep it creative.